Hello, today I am here to review this tarot deck, Tarot Mucha, and I have not looked at these cards yet, so it is going to be fun for you and me, I hope. So let's see what we've got here. These are from Italy, I believe. It's a Scarabeo deck. I'm sure I saw that it was from Italy. It is. It's from Italy, so if that has any interest to you whatsoever. It's got a very nice box. It's got one of these boxes with the nice little lid that fits on. Quite heavy duty, shiny, very pretty, with some of the cards pictured on the box. I like it when they come in nice boxes. I think we all do. And here's a nice little tarot book companion booklet to go with your cards. And it looks like quite a nice one. It's shiny and colorful on the inside. I mean, it's not crazy colored or anything, but it's not white. And it's not one of those flimsy little typical books. It's got an actual, it's like a paperback book, but it's got a nice little, cover on it with the matching images of the box. And then this, I think, is just a spare card. Yes. And this is where we start with the actual cards. Okay. So you can see what's what in there. And the cards are the normal tarot deck size. And then let's get into it. It's not very bright here, so I'm hoping it's bright enough. If you tell me not to do reviews in this dark a space, I understand, and I will try to do better lighting, but it is only afternoon here, so I'm hoping there's enough light that we can do this and you can see everything. Tarot Mucha. Oh, that's just a spare card too, telling you what deck it is. So fantastic. So here we have the Fool, and the Fool is not the typical guy with his dog, but it is some lovely looking carefree person with her dog, and looking like she's got the universe on her side, I would say. And then we've got the Magician. I like this Magician. This Magician is wearing robes that almost look, he or she, they make this person look religious almost with the thing that the person is wearing. And as you can see, there are all the tools of the trade for a magician. And in the case of tarot, it means the suits. And then, of course, usually somewhere, I don't know if I saw it here, the eternity symbol is usually somewhere. I'm not seeing it here, but maybe it's like a hidden picture and I'm just not seeing it. But, what you bring into this world is somewhat eternal. It changes time, it changes people, it changes potentially everything. So here you have the Magician. I'm very sorry. I left my sound on my phone and forgot it was even here. So I will correct that in the future. Maybe I better turn it off now. That was not too smart. I had to have it charging though, and usually when it's charging, it's somewhere near me, not 100% of the time, but often. So, of course, it has a button on. You know what? I'm not going to worry about it because it'll take too long, because the button on it, you have to really push it and push it and push it to get the volume thing to come up. So that's not important right now. This is. So here we have the High Priestess. And I like her. She's got that lovely crescent moon. She's looking like a meditative, secretive person who will reveal things to you. Kind of a pretty High Priestess. Sometimes she looks rather severe. Oh, this is a lovely one. The Empress. She looks a little more youthful than you'll usually see the Empress, but she looks lovely and totally in command of herself and her world, which is exciting. She is a great female power card. And the Emperor, he looks like an old fellow who is very learned, perhaps, and who has accomplished a lot, as the Emperor will do. He's very much an authority figure. I like this deck. It's very colorful, and the artwork is quite neat. Oh, here's a very good picture of the Hierophant. He is what you don't have to do these cards in a typical fashion. Sometimes it's really great when they're a completely different Hierophant, like the one that I just read from the Rackham Tarot was the last review I did. And the Hierophant there looks almost like I don't want to say an impish pixie, but it looks like a young girl who's really powerful, like maybe a Joan of Arc type, who's, I think, holding a staff, and there are people all around. So some kind of leader with some kind of power or majesty or charisma that draws people in. This, to me, is a more typical way that I would think about the Hierophant, that more religious, more typically religious sort of figure. The Lovers. I would say that's a very, very good Lovers. And then the Lovers are being overseen by this enormous angel, which is, something that if you've read tarot cards, you're used to. But somehow here, the angel seems enormous. And that presence is just kind of interesting, the way it's drawn. So these cards, for me, so far are great. I really like the way they look. Here's a Chariot that, for some reason, you get a bit drawn into the fellow sitting in the chariot, because he almost has a 3D look to him. Here's Strength. This is kind of cute. They're both kind of hugging each other, the lion and the girl. Here we have the Hermit. I said that the last deck I reviewed had sort of a 1920s quality to some of the drawings, and some of these also do. I mean, the drawings are completely different. It's a very different style, but something about some of the clothing and the expressions remind me of some of the imagery and stuff from the 1920s movies or artwork. Okay, one little second here. I just need to peek at something because you'll see why in a second. Okay, it is what it's supposed to be. I just wanted to make sure. I see that it is number 10, but something about having that windmill thing in the back, I wasn't sure that it was going to be Wheel of Fortune, or as they call it here, just the wheel, as they sometimes will do. But it is the Wheel of Fortune, and the girl in the picture looks a little distraught, but it doesn't give me the impression of cataclysm and, tragedy and potential terror, or at least unforeseen enormous change that the tower would typically do. Or pardon me, the wheel. Oh, you know what? I'm confusing things. What am I doing? I'm losing it. I really am. It's been a crazy couple of days for me. So I'm actually confusing the tower and the wheel. I don't know why I'm doing that. I've never done it before in my life. If you guys could see what has happened to me in the past few days, I have had one thing after another, after another, after another happen that is really, really terrible. So I am really trying to just be a normal human and go on with my life and just trust in the universe and what I have to offer and the things that are going to happen, and things will turn around as they always do. But I am so preoccupied with some of the problems that I should just find a way to get them out of their mind, because now it's actually affecting what I'm saying, because I guess I'm not really all there, as far as concentration goes. I don't know if you've ever been in that position. I don't think I've ever had as many things come down as fast on me as things are at the moment. So I do apologize, and please bear with me because I will get there, and I'm not a crazy person. So back to it. This is the Wheel of Fortune, and a lot of people read the Wheel of Fortune as it is just fate and anything could go either way. And of course that's always true in life. However, my perception of the Wheel of Fortune is a very lucky card. Typically, I find that when people get the Wheel of Fortune, there is good luck coming. It's very rare that unless it's next to a bunch of other cards that really look bad, I have never found the Wheel of Fortune to be a card that just means, oh, it could go any way, everything could go great, or everything could go to hell. I really haven't had that experience. So nothing to do with the Tower. That was just me having a lapse in sanity. So, okay, I'm back. Back to it. So here we have Justice. And she looks like somebody who could lay down some justice, if you ask me. The Hanged Man. They're very stuck together because they're brand new, but that will be fixed right after this. Here's kind of a sad death card. You see the Reaper hovering over this dead fellow, and it's kind of somber. I mean, let's be honest here. Sometimes that is what the death card is about, but I'm going to say 9 times out of 10 it is not, and the death card just means change. Here we have our Temperance. Now this cannot be. Oh, it is. I'm second guessing myself on some of these because on first glance that did not look like the devil to me. But, you know, every deck is different, and you know, a lot of people will say when a deck is quite different, like this doesn't have a devil looking figure on it, or I don't think that this person looks like the devil. So some people would say if you're a beginner and you don't know what the Rider-Waite-Smith depictions are of everything, maybe start with one of those decks that really show things a little bit more clearly. But I don't really think it matters what deck you start with, as long as you know, study it and memorize the cards as well as you can, and then do some readings and see how the things that you predict or lay out for the person and sort of have an overview of, and then find out how it plays out. You know, if it's somebody that you're going to keep up with, find out how it plays out. Do it for your friends and family and find out as the cards come up what actually happens, because I find it fascinating how many people I read for, they get the same cards over and over, and they almost never get new cards. And I'm like that too. My readings to myself are almost always the same. I mean, yes, there are some cards that change, but I have 7 cards I almost always get. And if I don't get all of them, I'll get 5 of them. Here we've got the Tower. Now this is what I consider a classical picture of the Tower. The Tower looks kind of dangerous, and people are falling out of it. The Star. The Star. I like that one. The stars in the sky almost look like fireflies. And if you can hear, I do have my door open, so there are birds chirping. So we're right in nature here right now. The Moon. She looks fantastic. She looks very mysterious and like somebody who could... I am closing the door now because it is a little bit loud. We have some very vocal little birdies around here. Where I used to live, all of the birds made horrible, horrible sounds. And where I now live, the birds like to sing. So as pleasant as it may be, you might want to hear what I'm saying over the birdie sounds. So we'll close that for the moment. Here is the Sun. Also a classical showing of the sun. That childlike joy. A little naked kid riding a horse with the sunshine in the background. This is kind of an interesting judgment. I mean, it's got elements of the classical judgment, you know, the people and dead people and some of them coming up and rising up and angels and all that. But this one is really kind of hones in on the angel, and the angel looks a little bit, I don't want to say scary, but kind of like there's some danger present there. But maybe I'm just, oh no, the angel's got like really starry eyes and stuff. But I guess maybe it's just the, you know, the intensity of the experience. So there's something likable about the card. I'm not really sure exactly what it is, but I am kind of liking the card. I am a really judgmental person. I don't like everything, and lately I'm really liking the decks I'm reviewing. Maybe it's just because they're great decks, because I'm sure there are lots of decks out there that if I reviewed them, I'd absolutely hate them. But right now, I'm really loving the decks I've been looking at. Now, my son did pick me a ton of these decks for my birthday, which is super cool. But, of course, he picked them with me in mind, so he probably picked decks that I'm going to really like, generally speaking, right? I mean, not that our taste is exactly the same, and he doesn't do tarot cards. He just is looking out for me. And here we have the World. Again, this one has that sort of 1920s kind of a feeling to me. You know, something about the artwork sort of is going in that direction. The Ace of Cups, beautiful. Two of Cups. Three of Cups, this looks like fun. Party, party. Four of Cups. Five of Cups. I'm encountering a lot of tree imagery lately, which kind of makes sense because, you know, they're such powerful things in our life and they mean so many things, one of which is strength, power, nature, growth. My favorite card, the Six of Cups. This one's a little different, but it still gives you that feeling of nostalgia, childhood connections and friendships and love and looking back, nostalgia. I'm not sure if I said that already, but for me that's definitely true. My mother was a card reader, and when I was a child, I always got the Six and Seven of Cups, maybe because I was a child, but I still get them, so I think there's something about my life that connects to that card, and also this one, the Seven of Cups. So here we have someone who almost looks like someone with horns, unless that's the hair. Oh, I guess that's the hair. Okay, so the guy is looking at all these cups. This is definitely the classical depiction. And it's about decision and the decisions you might pick. Are you going to pick the cup with the snake in it, or are you going to pick the cup with the jewels in it, or the head? I always wonder if the head means a person or something really horrific. But anyway, Seven of Cups, Eight of Cups, Nine of Cups. Some of these have a real like sensuousness and opulence to them. The Nine of Cups, when it is pictured with the man, the typical Rider-Waite version, I call that the Fezziwig card because I think of the guy in A Christmas Carol who was Scrooge's boss when he was young, who threw the parties and brought everybody in and things like that. This elegant woman is looking like she is quite content to sit there with her wine, and I bet she's a great hostess and brings people in and gathers people together. And then one of the best cards, of course, the Ten of Cups. And I like the borders of this. My favorite cards tend to be borderless cards, but these borders are quite flowy and exciting, and it adds an expressiveness to the card, a style. Here we have the, I'm going to assume, actually I won't assume, I was going to say I'm going to assume that this is the Page of Cups. But you know how sometimes they call them princesses or other things instead of the Page. So just one sec. Just going to get to the court cards here. If this is your first time looking at tarot cards, the court cards are the pages and princes and princesses and kings and queens. Oh, okay, so here they do the Knave. So the Knave is, I have not encountered a tarot deck yet where they call what we typically call a page a Knave. So here it's the Knave of Cups. And let's see if he's anything like the normal Page of Cups. The Knave of Cups breaks free of emotional constraints. He's willing to risk being hurt to take a stand for what he loves. The wave of emotion may batter his foundations, but he will not be dismayed or discouraged. He's an innocent heart that has not yet been broken, etc., etc. So it is in the realm of the Page of Cups. It's somebody young learning about love, somebody who's typically loving and a bit easy to talk to about emotional matters. Even as a child, they tend to express themselves very well in that area of life. So that's our Knave. Here we have our Knight. Knight of Cups. If you ever watch me, you know that I'm always warning to be careful of the Knight of Cups, because he's very, very charming and he speaks the language of love very well. So if he's a person, he can really draw you in and convince you that he's, you know, the greatest of all lovers and the sweetest of all humans. Now, he also can represent a message of love. So if he comes up in your reading, he might just be bringing you a message of love and not being the person. And then we have the Queen of Cups, and she is not as loving looking as I would picture a Queen of Cups, but she's certainly, well, you know what? I'm just going to leave it there. She's not as loving as I'd expect her to look. So you can be the judge of that. Wow, this is exciting. The King of Cups. Look, he's like in motion. He's not just sitting there with some cups. He's like flailing around with some cups. Exaltation. This is pretty cool. And the fish is flying through the air. The fish that we usually see in the Page of Cups cup. I think he took the cup from the Page of Cups and threw it in the air, and the fish is flying through the air. Okay, I'm just being stupid. For everybody who knows this card or doesn't know this card, the fish is for a water sign, and that can be representative of any Cups card. But it's really fun. Like, it's fun to see the king in motion. I like that aspect. So here we've got a beautiful looking Ace of Pentacles. Here's the 2. You know, it's interesting because even when you have a deck like this, now this is a typical, you know, depiction, like the person with the 2 pentacles, one in each hand, but it's being held differently. It's a different person, different clothing, different background, more detail, more subtle coloration, and you know, at the top the coloring is going from one shade and merging through different shades to another. I mean, I really like what this looks like. And when you read tarot cards all the time, like I do, you know, it's so nice to have all these different cards, because it's just good for your senses to not be looking at the same thing over and over and over and over. The 3 of Cups. Or pardon me, did I say cups again? I did this in my last one. Okay, back up. Pentacles. The Ace of Pentacles. The 2 of Pentacles. The 3 of Pentacles. No cups. I can't do this. I have to stay on the proper suit here. 4 of Pentacles. Excusez-moi. This is a card that a lot of people talk about somebody being stingy or holding something back. Now, that can be true, but it can also be that somebody is trying to hang on to something for a good reason. It's not always a negative card. This really shows the pain and torment that can come with the 5 of Cups. if there's some real poverty or being left out in the cold happening. The Six of Pentacles, and this really shows the possible wealth or, ability to be in a good position. You guys, I am so sorry. We have phones ringing in the background. I've been trying all day long to carve out a quiet place to do this, but currently I am living in a place where there are a few of us living in the house, and it is absolutely impossible to create a quiet environment. I am not in an area where I'm closed off. I don't have an office space or anything like that, and I don't have a bedroom space that's available to use for this. So I do apologize for that. I am going to be moving soon. I'm not sure if it's going to be like a month or two or what, but I am looking for a place so that I do have a better setup to do this. And when that happens, I'll probably also do some more on-camera stuff with me, because I've been getting a lot of questions from you all, and I intend to answer them. And so I just want you to know that if you're finding it a bit annoying that, there are birds chirping, phones ringing, phones beeping, and everything else, I seriously apologize, and I will correct this. So don't give up on me yet. Here we have the Seven of Pentacles, and doors opening, and the Eight of Pentacles. This really shows you the hard work involved in this card. You see the guy's sinewy back, and it kind of shows you how hard some people have to work to get ahead. The Nine of Pentacles. Ooh, I like this one. She's looking very secure and very contented, which is always a great way to feel. The Ten of Pentacles. Oh, our knave is quite interesting and fun here. Knave of Pentacles. The Knight. The Knight has turned his head around to look at us. Knight of Pentacles. He's a slow-moving fellow sometimes, so instead of rushing in like the Knight of Swords or the Fire Knight, the Knight of Wands, this guy's looking all around him, watching his back. The Queen of Pentacles. The King of Pentacles. I'm just breaking up with my boyfriend right now, or he's breaking up with me. We're breaking up, put it that way. And he is the King of Pentacles, so I'm finding the King of Pentacles a bit cold right now, and honestly, I knew that about the King of Pentacles before I ever made this connection, so perhaps I should have thought about that when we started. Someday I will have a King of Wands, and all will be well. And speaking of wands, here's the Ace of Wands. And like I say, these depictions, which are classical basically, are looking really beautiful in this deck, because I find this border, these borders, because they do change throughout somewhat, even though they have the same sensibility, it almost feels like looking into a window where there's this kind of realistic picture on the other side of the window. And that's a bit unique, and I'm really enjoying that in this deck. I really like the colors. They're quite subtle, but they're beautiful. Again, I apologize. I'm going to have to get my act together. I'm going to hear this in the comments, or you guys are going to put it in my email and tell me how bad it is, and I appreciate that. I know that what I should do is refilm it, but I don't kind of roll that way. I'm a spontaneous person. I do something and I kind of show you it the way it is. I don't redo stuff. So I don't know if you appreciate that or if you think it's absolutely bad. And I do appreciate your opinion, so please let me know. Three of Wands. Did I do Two of Wands? Was that? No, that's the Ace. What am I doing? Oh, this is the Two. This is the Two. I'm seeing things. I'm seeing extra wands where there are none. So Two of Wands. and Three of Wands, both very reflective cards, and both cards that relate to future planning. This is a beautiful Four of Wands for a very happy and celebratory card. I find this card comes up a lot for engagements and marriages. Wow, this Five of Wands looks more combative than some of them. Some of them it looks like the guys are just kind of standing there with their wands. And this one looks like they're like really engrossed in all-out battle. So I kind of like the, you know, intensity, emotionality of some of these cards. It's very well done. Here is the Victory card, the Six of Wands, the Seven of Wands. Now here's a woman who's looking rather alarmed, Eight of Wands. So this is the one, depending on how this card is drawn, well, this is true of all the cards, but this one I do find is, actually this one has a person. You don't usually see the Eight of Wands. Sometimes we call this the Arrows of Love, and you don't usually see it with an alarmed looking person in it. I mean, I have seen it different in different card decks. This is interesting because it also has to do with swift action and things coming down fast and stuff like that. So maybe this person is completely freaked out by the intensity of whatever's happening, the speed with which something is moving, because not everybody loves that. I kind of do though. So, but then I am a Wands person. The Nine of Wands. The Ten of Wands. This woman looks beautiful and calm, but you can see she is struggling with an awful lot of wands, and that could be burdens or tasks or whatever. Here we have the Knave of Wands. He is looking calm, cool, and collected, which I don't think the Knave of Wands is ever going to be. This is a little doer. This is a guy who's going to accomplish a lot, but maybe he's really thinking about it, which is not a bad thing. And here we've got the Knight of Wands, the Fire Knight. He rushes in, he does stuff, he accomplishes things. He's at the peak of his game, prime of life, tons of passion, over brimming with passion. This is the strangest looking face on this Queen of Wands. I'm not quite sure how to determine what's going on there, because the Queen of Wands is usually great socially and a lot of fun, runs a kind of a social fun home, gets a lot accomplished, all of those kinds of things, is probably more upbeat a lot of the time than the other signs. Not always. I mean, some people are very contented in their calmness, and when I say signs, typically this is Aries, Leo, or Sagittarius wands. Anyway, she doesn't really look thrilled with life. So maybe she's accomplishing too much and it's taking its toll on her. Here we have the King of Wands. And he's looking pretty calm for a go-getter, but he sort of reminds me of the Emperor. You know, he's done a lot in life. Often he can be an authority figure or a mentor who a lot of people will go to for advice and things like that, especially about how to accomplish something. People who have lots of great ideas who might not know how to put it into practice. It's nice when they have a King of Wands in their, family or friend group or something like that, or a boss, somebody they can talk to about how to enact things. Here's a very, very beautiful Ace of Swords, the Two of Swords. Wow, this Three of Swords is excellent. This really, really shows the sorrow of the situation. So we've got the person whose face in and of itself is really, really showing the emotion and the true sorrow. And then we also have the heart with the swords in it. So this is a very graphic card, but it is really well done. I really like this deck. Here we've got the Four of Swords. My mother used to be petrified of this card because she was a card reader, and she would read this card, and every time it came up, somebody died within 2 weeks. I'm not exaggerating. So when this card came up, she was terrorized. I mean, it was actually quite awful. But that doesn't happen when I pull this card. I'm not afraid of the card at all. And it's also not the meaning of the card, so I'm not really quite sure how that happened or why it happened. The Five of Swords. Sometimes we call this the sore winner card. This guy in this picture, though, doesn't look as smug as in the standard Rider-Waite version, so maybe he's not a sore winner at all. The Six of Swords. Seven of Swords, that naughty boy stealing away with the swords. Eight of Swords, feeling entrapped often by our own minds or our own hearts or something within us, not from the outside world. The Nine of Swords. A lot of people say this is worry or sleepless nights. You know, torment that you just can't get away with. I honestly can tell you that for the past couple of months, this is exactly how I have felt. I have not been able to sleep. I have that horrible feeling in me all the time. And so to break out of it has been really, really hard. And I think I'm going to come out on the other side so much better than it has been. You know, I guess it isn't really saying much when you go, oh, well, I hit the bottom of the bottom, so I can only go somewhere but up. But this time, I really am going to put, like, all my heart and soul and everything into everything I do, so I can really make some successes. You know, I've done it before, I can do it again. And what I did was I chased some things that were unknown, and that is sort of an Aries trait. Sometimes we do things that are sort of childish and childlike. And I got myself messed up doing those things. Like, I'm really sad. I trusted some people I shouldn't have trusted. Really stupid things. And the boyfriend thing did not work out well for me. I thought he was an amazing person, and basically everything he ever told me was a lie. So that was rough on me. So this card, right now I resonate with this card awfully well. Almost this card, but I'm not going to let it go that far in my mind, this complete defeat, because I still have my self-respect. I still have my hope and my dreams and the physical ability to make things happen, and I am going to do that. And anybody else who needs inspiration, I do have some videos coming up that I'm going to, you know, put all the power of giving some readings that are for people in very specific circumstances that might be needed, that are always needed by somebody. So I'm doing a lot of deck reviews right now because if I get into anything too emotional, I might cry and look like a complete basket case, so I can't really do that. But pretty soon I'll be strong enough again and normal again that I can do that. So I will. So here we have the Knave of Swords. He's looking kind of like a dandy of old, and he is looking thoughtful and stuff too, as one would expect. The swords people tend to be kind of intellectual sometimes, often. They are always seeking knowledge. Sometimes I say they're holding the sword of truth. They like to cut through the BS and get to the truth, which is a very positive trait. Now, some people get a little bit annoyed with the swords people because, which, by the way, are Libra, Aquarius, and Gemini. And they get annoyed with them sometimes because they can be a bit cutthroat in their delivery. Like, you know, if you want the truth, if you want their real opinion about you, go to a swords person because they'll give it to you. And no matter if they hurt your feelings or anything. But sometimes it's great because you'll get the honest answer, right? So here we have the Knight of Swords. And this is a picture which doesn't show him insanely flying into battle like we often will see him do. In the Rider-Waite cards, the look on the horse's face looks like he's petrified because of the speed he's flinging into battle. And there are other ones where you see the craziness, but it's a determined card. It's an excellent card, and I do like the way it looks here. And then here we have the Queen of Swords. And the King of Swords looks a little bit smug. Or maybe he's just really content at, being full of knowledge and power and all kinds of good stuff. So there you have it. Tarot Mucha. And I think it's a great deck. I know I'll be using this deck a lot. It's not the typical deck I would really be super into, because my favorites are usually borderless decks. I think I can pretty much say that is usually my thing, but I do think this is very, very beautiful. I like the way it's presented. I like the way the cards feel. I will use this a lot. So I hope to see you soon at my next review, which I am also going to do today. Have a lovely, lovely day, and I'll see you soon.